Like I'm going to take Tampa in the series overall just because of how I don't see there's a history of underdogs who make it all the way to the Stanley Cup Finals and they finally always drop to Goliath. It seems that's what happens in hockey. So I'm definitely going to pick Tampa here.
One quick thing, Jesse, what I remember about the Pittsburgh San Jose final, I don't know about Sportsnet, but I believe it was ESPN. Not a single person picked the Penguins to win.
Really? Okay.
Whoa.
I remember, so flip that one.
It was unanimous. Yeah, it was unanimous across the board. The Sharks were going to finally do it. And then game one, Bonino, and the Penguins rode that all the way to a Stanley Cup victory.
It's funny how we remember that now, and we're like, how could anybody choose against Crosby in anything?
I know. I know. We were like, oh, yeah, no, he's Crosby, Malkin. They're tough.
Because Burns, Thornton, Marlowe, what's his
Reimer.
name? Reimer. Polak.
Who was the starting goaltender?
Martin Jones, I think. Was he not?
It was pre-shitty Martin Jones.
Yeah, Martin Jones before Martin Jones got in Martin Jones' head. And then there was like, I'm pretty sure too.
Yeah, he was good. He had a 918 that year.
That team featured, I think, 4 or 5 Olympians, that San Jose team. Like, who was on defense for them? It was amazing.
Burns, Vlasic.
Yes. That's who I was trying to come up with.
Polak, Brendan Dillon.
Polak.
Justin Braun.
Polak could be an Olympian, man. I think he might be.
On the Czech team? I think he was, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But like
Nick
they were
Spalling, you know.
He was there too. That's right. There were 3 Leafs on that team. Thank you for reminding me. Nick Spalling. I always forget his name.
Even Couture, Pavelski. Prime of San Jose. Yeah.
Good team. You could see why maybe they would have thought, okay, well, there's a lot of Team Canada, Team USA here on San Jose. I'm, not that against Crosby and Malkin, but this is a pretty loaded team.
Well, and Pittsburgh, like the Blues in 2019, weren't even in a playoff spot around Christmas. Remember, they fired their coach.
That's right. And we were like, Jim Rutherford's about to lose his job if he doesn't sort this out. He sort that out.
Whoops. Yeah, but I mean, they were bad. They were bad, and that's why they fired him. That's why they fired their coach, right? So but again, we keep talking about teams that were maybe not so good, but at some point gave us a reason to believe in them.
They found it.
Is it possible, Steve, that this winning streak would have been inevitably what would have happened for Montreal if we'd had an 82-game sked?
That is an extremely good question. I would argue we would never see it. We would never get to this point because a huge part of it is Cole Caulfield.
Yeah.
And his season would still be gone.
That's right.
He wouldn't have been able to join the I can't maybe he could have joined the team.
It was always the final 10 games or something, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was always going to be the final 10 games. Isn't that usually what it is with college?
Yeah, I don't know the exact rules. I mean, and let's not forget, like, they did make the playoffs in their division. They were, they made it because they deserved to. But again, it was like halfway through the first round where they were like, surprise. And like with the Kings, with the Penguins, with all these teams we're talking about, there was a eureka moment. And I just don't know if Montreal had that. They didn't have Brendan Gallagher. They didn't have Carey Price. It's what they're
Carey
doing.
Price
is
was making
amazing.
AHL rehab starts a week before the playoffs. People forget that. So was Gallagher.
It's unbelievable.
He played his first AHL game since like 2008 or something stupid. Like, it was crazy.
They're on their fourth head coach.
I was like, Carey Price is injured. Yay. Not that I wanted to be injured, but I was like, we don't want to face healthy Carey Price.
Well, exactly. And anyone who is like, no, I want him 100%. Like, shut up. You're lying. Like, you're like, listen, you want him to be healthy as a person, but you don't want to play against arguably the best goalie in the world.
No, I don't think anyone wants to play against the best goalie in the world ever on any night, ever. So let me ask you this, because Jesse, you say you're going with Tampa on this series.
Yeah, and I had 3 things on the ice that I wanted to get your guys' opinions on.
Okay.
So the first one is the matchup between Price and Vasilevsky, because I think we have the Vezina Trophy winner and then the guy who's probably the best goalie in the world.
Playoff Vezina.
Playoff Vezina, the Conn Smythe winner if Montreal wins it, versus the guy who's going to win the regular season Conn Smythe goalie trophy. Mm-hmm. So that's the big matchup there. And then we have Deneau and Gallagher versus the Tampa forwards can denote another round shutdown selection of all-star forwards. And then the last one was the PK versus the power play. So we have the people, it's gone underrated, but Tampa's power play right now is historically great. It's at 37%. And this is from NBC Sports. Going back over the past 20 seasons, no team that has played in at least 18 playoff games in a single postseason has ever had a power play that efficient. The only team to ever top the 30% mark was Boston in 1819 when they had a 32.4%.
And they went
power
away.
play. So, and then Montreal's penalty kill is 97%. The last time they allowed a power play goal was versus the Leafs.
Unstoppable force, immovable object.
I think that's going to be so much fun. So those are three things on the ice.
Start with the goalies here. Start with the goalies.
Yeah, what do you guys think?
Repeat the goalie thing again. We've got the playoff. It was a playoff Vezina and regular season Vezina, right?
Yeah, exactly. What do you guys think?
Andre Vasilevsky's got that special sauce right now. 4 straight shutouts in elimination games. Like, so I think of, that makes me think of like Braden Holtby 2018 sort of thing, where like he didn't have to be the best in every single game, but when all the chips were down, he became God. Right. And like all Capitals fans seem to point to this one moment where they're like, oh, we're going to be fine. And it was an enormous save that he made. I think it was in Vegas. I want to say game 2, huge paddle save. You know, we're going to be fine. If as long as Vasilevsky stares down Carey Price and doesn't blink, the goaltending should be at least even in this series. And that's a problem for Montreal.
I would agree with that. And on top of that, you know, I think there's a lot of people, you know, does this game count? Does the been here before game count? Meaning I've been here before, I've played in this before. And as far as I know, Carey Price has never seen a Stanley Cup Finals game.
Nope.
As good as he's been in the playoffs, he's never seen one.
Nope.
And Andre Vasilevsky has seen a few. He's been here before. Been here before on the bench, I believe, as well.
He was baptized in the Cup Final because
Bishop went down?
Because, he's like, no, it's just a flesh wound. And he was like barely able to play. And I think Vasilevsky got some action in.
Right. And I mean, this is a guy, so this guy's the third time he's been to the Stanley Cup Finals. And that's not Carey Price's fault. It's just what's happened. But then you look at Carey Price, who's played for Team Canada in the Olympics. And I think that matters. You think, oh, there's a guy that's been there before. And so my question always is, who's got more of the been there before? And I think when it comes down to it, I think, Steve, you make a really good point. If he doesn't blink, it's going to be a problem for the Canadiens because objectively on paper, the Tampa Bay Lightning are a much better skating team than the Montreal Canadiens are. I think goaltending, you probably, based on Carey Price's performance this playoff, have to call it equal. I don't know that you can give one team an edge in that particular department, but I do think the Lightning get an edge in the way that they play because they can play grinding teams like the Islanders. The Islanders gave them plenty of trouble, but they solved the Islanders. And the Islanders are the best team in the league at what they do, which is grinding you down, which is how they continue to get better every year. They just grind and grind and grind. Now, the number 2 on that list, Jesse, was what?
Gallagher and Deneau shutting down forwards, because that's been the consistent thing with Montreal in each of their 3 rounds is they know how to limit the other team's offense. So can they do it again to Tampa?
It's so much harder to picture against Tampa just because they're so deep. They're so unbelievably deep. No injury so severe that it's keeping anyone out of the lineup. When I saw is Kucherov injured stuff, I was like, you have got to be effing kidding me. Like, there is no way Montreal's going to get this again. There's no, can you imagine a road to the Cup where you barely, if at all, have to play against Tavares, Scheifele, Chandler Stevenson, who I know maybe doesn't quite match those names, but he's the number 1 center of Vegas, and Nikita Kucherov. Get lost. Get out of here. But I mean, they're so deep, they're so fast is another thing. You know, I'll just skate with them. Yeah, you're just gonna skate with Braden Point. Okay.
Steve, I'm gonna jump off a point you made on the last show, what I thought was really good.
I know.
It was great. It's the greatest point. It's too bad you're such a traitor to the Toronto Maple Leafs. But anyway, I think one of the points Steve made on the last episode was, hey, Vegas, Phillip Danault is one guy. He doesn't play 60 minutes.
Right.
What happened to the rest of you? Yep. Where are you, Max Pacioretty? Where are you, Mark Stone? Where are you, Mitch Marner? Where are you, Blake Wheeler? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
There was a lot of star talent that got the "where the hell were you" treatment these playoffs against the Montreal Canadiens, and deservedly so. But like we've said, Phil Danault does not play 60 minutes. Phil Danault and Brendan Gallagher do not play 60 minutes combined. So to me, it's going to be very, very hard to shut down everybody all the time. So if I am the Montreal Canadiens, who's the guy that I need to neutralize? And it's Braden Point.
Has to be Braden Point.
Braden Point. All the time, every day. If I can neutralize Braden Point, Nikita Kucherov is still an MVP, but it makes him far less dangerous if Braden Point, who has scored, had scored 9 straight games, something like that?
Yeah, it was 9, and then he didn't have one in game 1.
And if it's like the end of the Islanders series, then like Kucherov's injury might limit him himself, you know?
Right.
So this is the thing. Everyone thinks Montreal is going to target Kucherov because he's, potentially injured and he's the soft target. No, that means you got to target the other guys because he's not playing at 100%. That doesn't mean, you go after 70% of Kucherov and you try to knock him down to 25 or whatever. No. Okay. The softening's already done there. The pulverizing's already done. Thank you very much, New York Islanders. And now we turn our attentions to Stamkos or Point or Killorn or Yanni Gourde. You like going headfirst into everything? Well, how about you go headfirst into this?
Sorry, go keep going. Sorry.
Oh no, keep going. Just I'll list every Tampa forward. You know what I mean?
I'm curious if Tampa doesn't run the matchup of like the Blake Coleman line with Yanni Gourde and Barclay Goodrow against Suzuki Caulfield. And the reason for that is, those guys seem to be able to handle themselves, but they are still young, and that is still a pretty devastating mean line to play against. I have a feeling like if you ran Pat Maroon out there against Caulfield and Suzuki, you get eaten alive. And it's nothing against Pat Maroon, but I think the skill level is different. I think if Pat catches you unaware, then yeah, you're in trouble. But I look at that line specifically, the Gourde, Coleman, Goudreau line, and I think, man, if you're running that against young Montreal players, Blake Coleman can kick your ass so many different ways. He gets in your head. He also does stupid shit with the puck sometimes. I think we saw in game 4. Remember, he flipped it out of the air and batted it over and somehow got that impossible angle to, was it Yanni Gourde?
Every team's got one guy.
Stupid.
Why'd you do that?
Yeah, how did you do that? And I remember when the Barclay Goodrow trade happened with San Jose, everybody was like, what? Why? Why did they pay that much for him? Well, when you see him in the system, and this is something that there's a few NFL teams that I think are the best examples of this, are able to take players out of another team and pull them into their system and make them stars. And you look at what the New England Patriots were able to do for about 15 years with certain wide receivers that just came in and were nobodies. They pulled these guys. They didn't get drafted. They were released and turned them into absolute studs next to Tom Brady because they played a limited role in the system. And what Tampa Bay does so well is they take those guys and they go, this is your role. And no matter what happens, you don't have to deviate from your role. And I think we saw that specifically in the Leafs series where guys who were supposed to play a role didn't play a role because they couldn't play the role and didn't feel confident playing the role. And they got off of their own game. Tampa Bay doesn't do that. And I think when you look at the defensive nature of Goudreau of Danault and of Gallagher, it's going to be tough for them to stop 2 lines, devastating lines, and then have their best guys be their best guys with a third line that Tampa has. So I'm going to say Tampa gets the edge there.
This is, and like, it sounds like we're just doubting Montreal again. It's not about doubt against Montreal. These are just facts. They're about to play the deepest team they've played in these playoffs. They're about to play the fastest team they've played in these playoffs. They're about to play the biggest and meanest team that they've played in these playoffs. They're about to play the team with the best finishing power that they've played in these playoffs. And they're about to play the team with the best goaltending that they've played in these playoffs. If Montreal wins, they win. And it will have been well earned because all those things I just said are true.